What I'm addressing today is transformational, it is powerful, and it's also painful. And I haven't spoken about this topic this openly before, and I'm excited to share this with you in hopes that it will shift your relationships. It will shift maybe your relationship with yourself, and it will shift your relationship with others. Let us take a deep breath first, because this is heavy. We're really looking at it, because I felt the need to make this video because we're in a time where we can't walk on eggshells anymore. We can't fake it. We can't pretend it's not happening. And we need to look in the eyes of what is really happening and getting comfortable to feel ourselves, to feel our feelings. I had a client session recently and I told them, yeah, the abusive relationship you've experienced is with you for the last, 30, 40 years. And it's like, whoa. Wow, right? That's a lot to handle. I've been creating the abusive relationship within me for the last decades. And owning that and looking at that. And once you do, from that place, you can transform it. So today I want to talk about the miscommunication that we often have in love. In relationships, not just romantic relationship, in love with your friends, love with your family. And how we pass on trauma and how we pass on abuse thinking it's love. And how we accept that from others, talking ourselves into how that's love. Because oftentimes that's what we experience from our caregivers. Let me explain. In places where there's no abuse, let's use the simpler example. People have different love languages. There's a book on that. There's so many resources on this. Let's say the primary 5 love languages, all right? And it's important to understand how your partner's communicating, because if you don't, for example, my love language is quality time. And my partner's love language may be gift giving. So there I am, expressing my love, making sure we have time together and scheduling it in. And he just shows up like, oh yeah, sure, we can hang out. I'm like, oh, where do you have time? It's like, oh, I don't know, whenever. I'm like, excuse me? Are you kidding me right now? Like, you don't love me, right? And their love language is gift giving. So they do love me and they're giving me gifts and flowers and I'm receiving this and I'm really grateful. I'm not giving any gifts because it's not really important to me. And I'm like, okay, that's a nice thing to do. So when are we spending time together, right? And there I am, feeling so unloved and unseen and giving my love. And then they are feeling so unloved and unseen and communicating love in their way and feeling that it's not being reciprocated. And that is because we don't understand that we do love each other in our own way. And there's no clarity of, hey, what is important to you? What is your love language? Okay? And we have different ways to communicate love. Again, not just romantic and friendships and family and all relationships, co-workers. Taking it further. Sometimes in relationships, especially parents and kids, I know that I'm guilty of this. Sometimes as a parent, you're like, I'm a natural teacher. I want to teach. I want to lead you. I want to help you. And as we do, we criticize the kids. Oh, let me do it better for you. Well, this wasn't quite right here. Let me help. Instead of giving them the space. We claim to have authority. We claim to know better. Partners, we sometimes could say things, well, I'm just telling you the truth that nobody else will tell you. And we think that's love. But the truth is that that's emotional abuse and that's putting somebody down. Because similarly as with children, and this has been proven in child psychology, this has been proven in experiments in corporate environments. A child does not have better self-esteem or self-confidence when a parent or a caregiver or a teacher does that. It actually lowers their self-confidence, puts them down. An employee does not perform better when they're being shown how incompetent they are, and here, let me educate you. They perform worse, and they lose their self-esteem. And why do we do that? Or extreme, previous generations, where there was a lot more physical abuse and in child rearing as well, physical punishment. Well, sweetheart, I care. And that's why I'm hitting you. Because I love you. In relationships, he hit me because he loved me. Because he cared and he didn't know how to express it, or he was really angry. That means he cares about the relationship. No, that's abuse. That is physical abuse or emotional abuse. Why do we pass this on? Because oftentimes it happens unconsciously when we pass it on. And this is the painful part, because to break that pattern, what it would take is for us to sit down with what we've experienced and face the fact that that wasn't love. That what we experienced was actually abuse. And that's painful. Because we want to go into like, no, it's fine. And your mind will actually cancel out moments in your childhood that are too difficult to process. In shamanic practice, that we call that soul retrieval, that the soul leaves the body. And then to heal that, you need soul retrievals to bring it back. For a part of us, like, whoa, like I'm supposed to be loved and whole here and I'm feeling amazing. And that wasn't safe. Or I felt shut down. And our mind will just cancel that out as if it never happened. But it did. And it leaves an imprint in the subconscious. And affects the rest of our lives. And we pass this on, right? We say things like, well, if I don't tell you the truth, nobody else will. Your partner or child doesn't need to be put down. They need to be supported. We withdraw our love thinking, well, no, that's how they're going to learn. Or we shut down not knowing how to regulate our own nervous system, and we feel that that's okay. And it's not okay, but that is what was modeled to us by our caregivers. And it's a lot less painful to just keep continuing that pattern instead of sitting down and saying, oh, what they did wasn't love. And it's not black and white, because the mind will want to say, oh, my parents didn't love me. It's either one or the other. They either did or they didn't. And it's more complicated than that. Because what we're after is this divine love from a divine mother, divine father. A role that a human parent can never fulfill. I have kids. I can't be praising them all the time. I can't be looking at, I have my own life. I have my own preference. I have my own moods. I have my own things that are important to me. And kids are there like, oh, you never have time for me. It's like, I'm working right now. I gave you a time frame where I'm working. But they're going to feel abandoned. And it's only natural and it's only normal. Because we're trying to get that from a human that only a God and goddess can give us. And we continue that in relationships. You're supposed to know. You're supposed to always be there for me. They're human. And I'm not saying, don't try to be better. That's what relationship offers. Moving forward. Being the best version of yourself over and over again. Expanding. What does that better version of you look like? Now, a week from now. It's different. It's expansion. And that is absolutely the invitation in relationships, in family dynamics, in friendships, in all relationships. But also understanding that it's important to sit with your experience and not just to brush it under the rug. Oh yeah, that's normal behavior. How did it feel to you when it happened? And such moments of physical or emotional abuse, it felt pretty shitty. So why are you replicating that? Why are you doing that to another? And oftentimes it starts within. Those things that we say to others, well, someone has to tell you. That's the inner dialogue. Oh, well, I have to criticize me. Yeah, because that's what makes me stronger. Like, God, you did horrible today. It's like, this is you abusing your inner child. And it's important to sit with that. And to understand that that wasn't okay. And choosing consciously the kind of person, first of all, parent to yourself that you want to be, but also the kind of person you want to show up as in the world. It's easier to just keep going. It's easier to pretend that that which we do is love. Because that's what we saw love to be as. Being put down, being shamed, Love being conditional. Well, if you do what I say and I'm happy with you, then I love you. And if you don't, I withdraw my love, right? And we continue acting in such a way that we think that that's how it's supposed to be. And it's not. And we get to come in and build a community and a society, which begins with ourselves, that is rooted in unconditional love, that is rooted in wholeness and completion and fullness. It was not on your parents. They had their own wounding. I'm a parent. I know that when I'm there, doing some of those things, there is some of these emotional things going on where I'm like, I'm trying to teach you. And they're frustrated. I'm like, I'm pushing them a little bit. And then catching myself and then apologizing for that happening. Because I'm sometimes exhausted, because I have my own things going on, because there are a lot of things to do and I'm at capacity. I don't even feel love for myself in those moments. How can I show up and feel love for another human being? And that's what that like, oh my God, just do what I say. And not holding space. And that is not love. Again, when you're deprived yourself, you can't show up in love for another. So what does coming back to you look like? What are you hearing me say? This is a heavy topic. What are some ahas maybe popping up? Let me know in the comments below if you feel called to. If you want to dive deeper into this, because oftentimes we need support, like looking at this like, oh my God, that wasn't love, and actually what I experienced was abuse. That's an invitation, and it's a lot easier to do when there's someone holding that space for you and supporting you and giving you the tools to work through that in a fast and efficient way. And I've gone through that, and I've taken clients through that. So if you want to dive deeper, in the description there is a link for the free clarity call that we can get on to, just seeing if this resonates and if I can support you on your path. I thank you for being here. I thank you for doing the work. I thank you, if this is right for you, choosing a place of unconditional love, choosing to give to others from alignment, choosing to not repeat the patterns that hurt us with those that we love. I thank you for that, and I'm wishing you a powerful day.